My name is Maitreyabandhu, and I'm talking from the London Buddhist Centre, the main shrine room of the London Buddhist Centre. We're in lockdown at the moment. We're only going out once a day for an hour or so. I live in a community above the London Buddhist Centre. I actually live with David, who's filming this. He's from Kilkenny. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's where he's from. Yeah, it's great living in the community here. We're getting on very well, and even though I hear about death, it feels very distant to me. Now, actually, I still do feel presented with the fact of death like you feel presented with it. Actually, it's always there, isn't it? It's always there, all of our life, the fact of death, that we will die. That's the one thing we're sure of, but we don't know when we're going to die. So, this moment with COVID, it's sort of presenting the fact of death more to us. But actually, it's just uncovering it. It's there all the time anyway, isn't it? So that's got me, again, reflecting on mortality, on my own mortality, on my friends, on my family, and so on. And I remember this poem by Robert Frost, a late poem by Robert Frost, a great American poet, one of my favourite poets. I thought I'll read this poem and then I'll say something about it and see whether it helps us reflect on this great matter of mortality, that we will die and we don't know when. The night light. She always had to burn a light beside her attic bed at night. It gave bad dreams and broken sleep, but helped the Lord her soul to keep. Good gloom on her was thrown away. It is on me by night or day, who have, as I suppose, ahead, the darkest of it still to dread. Yeah, very simple, apparently simple poem. Interestingly, this is the last poem that Frost read publicly. He did a reading, an old man by then, with a very, very difficult life behind him. For instance, his son committed suicide. One of his daughters was very, very mentally ill. Quite a difficult life. He was very poor as a child. His mother was very almost an evangelical Christian. His father was a journalist and a skeptic. And what you get in this poem is his mother's influence and his father's influence in the poem. And this is a poem, in his last reading, he'd read the whole reading and then he said, I want to finish with this particular poem. And then at the end of it he said, I think I'll end on that dark note, and then left to a standing ovation. But that was his last main poetry reading. She always had to burn a light beside her attic bed at night. So clearly that's his mother. It gave bad dreams and broken sleep, but helped the Lord her soul to keep. So he's always felt a yearning for his mother's certitude, his mother's belief in God, that she had to have a light next to her bed and it would help God see her, as it were. You see how in the poem the rhymes are very simple, beautiful, very straight. It's like a bit like a nursery rhyme, isn't it? She always had to burn a light beside her attic bed at night. It sounds the sort of thing you would have heard as a child. So him as a child is being echoed through this poem, his relationship to his mother and to her belief, to her, and to the great succour of belief, the great comfort, the great meaning creator of belief. Frost himself had lost belief, if he ever had it. His father wasn't a believer. But one of the great things I love about this poem, he says, good gloom on her was thrown away. Which I love that line. It is on me by night and day, who have, as I suppose, ahead, the darkest of it still to dread. But what I love about this poem is that fantastic qualifier, as I suppose. So what he's famously a skeptic, Frost, but he's a proper skeptic. Proper skepticism is saying, actually, I don't know. So the poem, even though it's a tiny, tiny poem, is contrasting his mother's certitude that God is there for him, and him not knowing. He says, who have, as I suppose, ahead, the darkest of it still to dread. So he's saying, actually, that's what I believe, but I don't know. That's what I suppose, yeah? So for me, this gets very close to the spirit of Buddhism. It doesn't want to say yes to divinity. It doesn't believe in God. It doesn't want to say, yes, God will be waiting for you. But neither does it want to say yes to nihilism. In fact, it seems generally to be more critical of nihilism than it is of eternalism. It doesn't want to say, yeah, when you die, you've got the darkest of it still to dread. Buddhism would want to say, well, what you've got is beliefs about death. You don't know what happens when you die. Nobody knows what happens when you die. And I don't know. And Frost very carefully is saying, sort of remembering, almost imagining his mother and his mother reading to him almost, and that certitude of God. For him, it's not a certitude at all, and there's this sense of dread. But he's being very honest. He's saying, that's what I suppose anyway. I actually don't know. Now, what I think we need at this moment is, whilst we're being presented by death, death is, the fact of death is being pushed towards us. It's always there, but it's being uncovered by this, what is it, a crisis, emergency, pandemic. It's being uncovered, the fact of death, but we don't know what happens. I don't know, and you don't know. Buddhists don't know, Christians don't know, skeptics don't know, nobody knows. And that's a good place to start with, I don't know. So I'll just read it one more time. It was this wonderful late poem. And it's interesting that this is the last poem he read publicly and was given a standing ovation for. The Night Light. She always had to burn a light beside her attic bed at night. It gave bad dreams and broken sleep, but helped the Lord her soul to keep. Good gloom on her was thrown away. It is on me by night or day, who have, as I suppose, ahead, the darkest of it still to dread.